I stole the joke with my colleague Bruno. Uh, so I'm Pedro Santos. I have been working with technology in the past 9 years. If you use this stack, Java, Spring, and I'm a full stack engineer. I'm working when you talk about the front end side, I have experience with Angular too, and also I love to think about this, about the architecture, about best practice, about to apply the best things for you have for the you have for in the for you have for the codes. So that's it. And here when I talk to you, is the safe place. We try create a safe place for share, for speaking, for for share and try learn something. So that's it. I don't know everything, but I'm try here for only share and create this environment. So that's it. And Bruno, feel free.
Okay, so yep, nice to meet you for the ones that I don't know. My name is Bruno. I've been working also as a Java developer for 7, 8 years. So since the beginning of career, always working with Java. Um, I'm well, yeah. Right now I'm working out as a developer, also playing a role as a tech lead. So it's been, yeah, splitting between the development and the leadership, which brings some discussions that Jean already told. Like we are always fighting for quality and patterns, but it's a difficult discussion. Maybe it's the main discussion that we have nowadays between the deadlines and the quality that we want to bring for our code. This is really challenge. So we are going to discuss a little bit about this after we go through some concepts. But yeah, that's basically it from my side. I don't know if I'll will what is up. You can share. You can introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. So my name is Isam. So I just started joined Obey already. It's been 2 months. This is my first workshop, or also. So also, what else? So I have been working as a Java developer for 5 years. So my mission now it's working as support developer on with Bruno. He's
Sounds
working on
good.
the good side. I'm working on the evil side. Most.
Good.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, maybe Victor.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks everyone. My name is Vitor Martins. Brazilian also as Bruno, as Pedro. And yeah, sorry, Barbosa.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, I have been a software engineer, Java software engineer for the past 6 years. And currently I'm working for Cell Focus, an IT consulting company with Vodafone as main client. That's it.
Think for sure.
Maybe now I can pass to Lara to talk.
No, John. Lara
Okay.
is the host.
Okay.
Nice to meet you all. I've been working with development since 7 years, more or less now. Actually, I started with front end, but always fighting to go to back end, trying to find a window to do this. I worked a little bit with Ruby, Python, Perl, on front end with Vue, jQuery, vanilla JavaScript, and so on. I also worked for 2 years with Roku. Maybe you don't know, but it's the TV box thing, which has its own language. Say, yeah, and now I'm working with Kotlin since last November. and I love Java, and anything about Java I want to learn, because I can apply to Kotlin, which is my first language into work, but I want to specialize in Java. So yeah, I try to observe everything I see. That's it.
Nice, thank you all for sure.
Okay, so yeah, let's go through the presentation. Okay, so just to give you a brief introduction regarding the idea that we have for the Splitwise like sessions. This is actually the third one that we are presenting. We already had 2 presentations. The first one, we talked a little bit about documentation. We also touched a little bit on the design patterns, but we didn't go through, we didn't, like dive into the design patterns, to be honest. And in the second session, we had some concepts about security. So the idea today is, well, we will focus mainly on the design patterns and good practice. And the idea of Splitwise like sessions is actually we get the Splitwise application, the original one, as a reference, and based on this reference, based on this application, we are trying to develop an API. And using our API, we are just trying to bring these concepts and good practices, security concepts as well. So just to give you the Splitwise application, the original one, is application to share expenses. So for example, I have, well, better, the best way to show you is sharing a little bit how it works. So for example, here in the Splitwise application, the original one, this is not ours, okay? This is something that it already exists. But based on the original application, we can have, for example, we can create some groups. Just to give you a brief introduction, so I will create Aubay workshop 2 because I have already one, and then we are going to have Pedro as one of the members of the group, Jean, Issam, and Victor. All of us will be in this group. And then once that I have a group, I can also create some expenses. So this way, it's like a easy way to store. Oh, sorry, I need to. So this is our lunch. We spend like 100 euros in our lunch. My goodness. So yeah, based on the in this application we can add some expenses, and based on the expense we will split the values that each one of the group owes the person that pay some of the expense created. So that's the idea of the application. So we get this application, and then we try to build up our API based on these business rules. That's the idea behind the Splitwise sessions. What else I can show you? So yeah, in the first session, we, as I have already said, we worked a little bit on the documentations and also diagrams. So first of all, as a normal process, we define our main entities involved on this application. So it will be the user. We have also the group. The groups is actually in this, in this one. So we have the user, groups, expense, the split method that we are going to explain a little bit further on the next steps, and the transaction. So first step would be defining our groups, our entities. We talked more about that on the first session. I think it was also recorded. So if you have more curiosity, you can go through the first session and see how we explained. Well, unfortunately, the first session was in Portuguese, but well, that's why I'm showing the summary of all the presentations right now. So yeah, we had the definitions for the entities, And then we actually started to develop the application. So the application, this is our API in the currently situation. So all that entities that I have showed you already, we have already created. So we already have like the expenses created, model for the expense. We have the model for split detail. We have different controllers for the expense entity, also for the groups. So if you see here, we have like main packages for our entities created in the API. Also some details on the security. That was actually the subject that we worked on the second session. And then yeah, we have a bunch of things implemented already where I can show you further as throughout the presentation.
And something is important here. It's I think the first best practice maybe you will talk here. It's organize your project. So it's a simple thing, but if you separate in a specific path more granular, it's more easy for for like how I say that is for create a specific thing. So you create a controller, you create an exception, you create a model. It's a simple, it's a common, but it's an important thing for do. But because I say it because some projects you have all things in the same package. It's not good for understand. So that's it.
Yeah. Actually, this would be the first best practice for Spring Boot API. I think
Yeah, it's
maybe
normal,
all
but
yeah, maybe all of us know, but it's always good to remind ourselves that usually we have three main layers. So we have the controller, as we can see here on the group controller, for example. And then we have the services implemented, the interfaces, and we are going to discuss a little bit about interfaces and design patterns as well. And finally, we have the layer where we communicate with the database. So it's going to be the repositories. This would be the first best practice, I mean, the standard one, how we should develop our APIs, or we usually develop our APIs, at least on Spring Boot context. So, força.
no, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I heard something. Okay.
No,
So yeah, we also have the models organized here by the entities that we have created, and well, that's the currently status for our API since the beginning of these sessions. It's a pretty big API, I would say. The repository actually is also public, so after in the end of the session, we can also share with you. Pedro already shared in the chat, so you
yeah.
can just take a look there as well. But the idea today is going through the best practice and design patterns and try to illustrate these concepts in our application. So that's the main idea for this presentation today. Starting for the OOP principles, this is really basic. Sometimes I mean, it can be obvious, but still, it's something that we usually we implement, but sometimes we don't know that we are implementing them. So yeah, so here we highlighted like four concepts, I would say. So we have the abstract classes, which yeah, as we already know, defines the partial contracts. Usually, we can define some default behavior in our methods inside the abstract classes. And then, well, this can be extended by the other classes, by the subclasses that we are going to implement. We also highlighted inheritance. Inheritance is something that it's strictly connected with abstract classes because when we extend an abstract class, we have the inheritance in practical terms, I would say. But we also have this kind of concept when we use interfaces, for example, and we are going to discuss further this as well. Polymorphism, which, well, it's also is connected with abstraction, with interfaces, and well, as it's written, it enables a single interface to assume different behaviors. You can override your behaviors depending on your subclasses characteristics. So that's basically it. And we have generic type because we are also going to show you some use of generic types in Java. Okay, so given that, let's go through the code. So because we are going to, yeah, we have the theory. Let's go to the let's dive into the code. Let me just remember.
Abstract class.
Yeah.
Abstract CRUD.
El CRUD. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so here, for example, in the Splitwise application, we have an example of abstract class, the abstract CRUD service. This is actually a pretty basic class that we have implemented just to define the default behavior for some main methods that we usually have in our CRUD operations, which is creating, updating, deleting, and so on. So we define some default behaviors on this abstract class, and we also use the generic types to have like it's a generic interface. We could have any entity using this CRUD service or any type of ID. So just to give you an example of, do you want to complement?
Yeah. Something is very important here. It's a centralized the logic. So if you have a possibility to create abstract class for anything, not for anything, not for this case, it is not specific for animal or dog, but abstract class for CRUD. It's for in this case you centralize all logic in this find all, and you have a possibility, for example, add some logs. You modify only one place, not all your log for maybe add for finding some entity, but here you modify only these things. So I like when you code, and just said before, it's hard implementing abstract things, but to implement or not abstract things for follow the best practice or follow the partner. When you implement, for example, this abstract class, you it's very fast for change things, or very fast for understand where in your code you have a maybe one problem or have maybe some things. So that's the point. Here, for example, in delete. So you when you delete all the time, when you use the delete, you use the find one for check. So it's everything is abstract in this case. So it's very easy for centralized things. So that's the point. You everyone use this in your current job. You use abstract class for these things or no? Vitor, Jean, Isam.
Yes,
What?
sometimes I use sometimes sometimes interface and sometimes abstract classes where I have some common methods, common attributes that the subclasses you needed to have. Yeah, the core abstraction stays just one place, the abstract class. And furthermore, I put in the concrete classes, and I remember even of a simple example. Simple example would be a parking lot software, and the spot, the spot, could be any spot. Could be a motorcycle spot, could be a car spot, could be a van spot.
Yeah.
But the basic attributes you put in an abstract class, and for any kind of vehicle you wanna put, you instantiate a new subclass with its own attributes and characteristics. And so you have a modular design that can be expanded to not violate any solid principle.
Perfect.
Okay, nice.
Any,
That's for sure.
anyone else using abstract classes? Isam, do we use abstract classes in our project?
I'm still discovering the project, but for my old job, I use generic types a lot. I use even abstract class. I use them a lot. It depends on the how to say it, and the requirement and everything, because it was difficult, the project, that it was on the insurance side, so it was hard to handle, so it was risky, so a little bit to change.
I see. Yeah, I would say that it's more, we're going to discuss more about that, but it brings some even more scalability, I would say, when we have this kind of default behaviors defined in abstract classes. I mean, it's the solid. We are going to discuss also solid, but it becomes extensible, you know. So we have the abstract classes, and we can extend depending on the specifications for each subclasses or for each sub entities that we have. So I would say that it's something. How can I say? It's something common and simple. It's pretty much simple, but it makes all the difference, because sometimes we don't have it and we can have, well, a mess in our code.
Yeah, you always have one place to modify also, so no need to search for. Yeah, that's the best.
Agreed. Okay, so Jean want to share as well? All good?
I was about to say that actually the code base I work is Kotlin. Kotlin, they enforce that you don't extend the inheritance. They it's not enforced. They motivate you to use more interfaces than inheritance. So yeah.
Good point.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Well, just to summarize, yeah, we had we showed the abstract classes implemented. This is only an example, because actually the CRUD service itself could be also the JPA repository, which is something that we also use directly with Spring Boot in Spring JPA. But well, actually, it's also good to have this as an example here on this project. But basically, the way we extend the class, we just extend abstract CRUD service, and then inside this inside the CRUD service, we define which entity are we going to work with it and the type of our IG. So that's basically the way we are extending the abstract CRUD service. Okay, so that was the introduction for the OOP principles. We also highlighted the reusability. I think this is also connected with abstract classes and so on somehow, but we have also the importance of reusing components. As we said, if we have something centralized, we avoid bugs in general. We have less rework, because when we have the logic defined in one place, we basically you shouldn't Control C and Control V your code everywhere. So we have this centralized in one place of your code, and you can reuse, you can extend, and this is the idea. It will bring also more consistency. And we have a subject here about error standardization. And for that, I would like to present here in the code also for the controller, for the error standardization, we also have the exception handler. So
Yeah.
so here on our API, we are following this it's not properly a design pattern, but in Spring
It's a
Boot
good
APIs,
practice.
yes, we usually have this as a pattern on how we handle the exceptions in general in your application. So basically, you define the exception that you are going to handle, and also you can define the standard response in case you have that error. So to define like 404 not found ID or something like that, this would be the one of the best approach to standardize your
Yeah.
your errors.
Yeah. In this case, it's an important thing for do because you don't share your implementation when you have, for example, an exception. If you have some type of exception, you say, you have a this error in your implemented class, and your users know about these implementations. So now, when you use this approach, you create a specific partner for create your error response. So it's about a good practice and security too. So
Yep.
that's point. Any questions about that? Oh, it's so far so good.
So far, so good.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So this is the reusability. So yeah, as I said, we also highlighted the solid in practice. Well, as we already said, there's some concepts here that we pass it through already when we talk about abstract classes and interfaces and this kind of things. But still, just to remind us, we have the single responsibility, which encourages that we should promote the separation of concerns in everything that we have. Go there, bro.
No, sorry, my mistake.
Okay. Okay. We have the open close principle. I think it's not order, to be honest. It's not this knowledge is not order on this presentation, but okay. Um, which is something that we should be open for extensions but close for modification. This is also about extending our classes, our parent classes, and so on.
Yeah.
The interface segregation. Actually, the interface segregation is something that we usually use a lot in our Spring Boot APIs, since we usually have a lot of interfaces in the service layer. So we can define the behavior for each of our services, each of our services in general. And then we segregate all the application in interfaces. The dependency inversion, this we also saw in practical terms, I would say, because we usually we should not depend on the concrete implementations and actually only in the abstractions. And the list of substitution principle, which the subtypes must be replaceable for their base types without breaking the behavior. So all of this, we have the solid principles, and even sometimes we don't know much. But for example, if, common example that we have is the dependency inversion. Usually, we always define interfaces, not concrete implementations, to inject in our upper layers in the API. So for example, in the controller, in group controller, for example, all the injections that we have here is directly for interfaces. So we never inject or depend directly on the concrete implementations. We are always depending on interfaces, abstract implementations, which will define actually the behaviors and not the default behaviors, but the implementation of the behaviors itself will be a responsibility for a subtype, for a subclass, for a class that will extend or implement your interface.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
No. Yeah, it's an important thing is using interfaces because it's possible, for example, using a repository in your controller is 100 possible, and I see and I saw this kind of project in other project this. So it's terrible because you don't imagine if me you have a for example it's only find one, but it's not a problem. But you have a business logic, user interface, and your implementation, and any validations, different kind of validations. So it's but if you use for example a repository using in find one, you like I don't know, you don't pass for the business logic. So it's a you not good for best practice, and maybe you have some bug in your software because the bad implementation. That's the point.
Hmm. Yeah. Well. So yeah. You guys have something to share, to add? Something that you didn't know. So far, so good. Go on.
Maybe here is for me the main point, at least on the code base I work, that many business logic is in the controller is something that I keep repeating there, that we need to externalize this for a service or whatever use case. And then it's something that you see here, a controller which uses a service, and then for sure it could have some kind of validation of the fields or anything else from the request, but the logic of the service itself, it's in another place. So you can reuse this in other places as well if you need it. And it's cleaner. You see the service does this, and that's it. You see like the steps the controller does, but just the high level one. For me, this is much better than having all the logic inside that method to some specific endpoint, for example. So yeah,
Yeah,
here
correct. And
is some it's here it's something that for me it's important to pay attention when thinking on some patterns.
yeah, and something I can add is, for example, when you create a global handler and pass for the SAS the responsibility for throw some exception, and you don't need, for example, you have some example here. In your controller, it's only create. That's it. It's the best scenario. But you have a difference 41, 40, 41 or 500. This is the business logs inside the implementation of your service. That's it. So the global handler is very important for this approach too. And maintain the controller screener. Thank you.
Yes, 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 yes. This is true. Yeah, yeah, that's why we usually this is something interesting as well, because we usually have the how can I say, the good path on the controller. The response entity is always returning to 100. This is really, I mean, this would be the best practice as well, because the error itself will be focused, will be centralized in the controller device. So yeah, this is also something nice to see, and to have at least control on our application in general. Um, okay, okay, very good. What else do we have? Okay, we have something. Well, we have some notes here about Solid in constructors and services. So implementing the dependency injection enhanced modularity. Ensure constructors remain streamlined and purpose-driven. So this is only um, some outcomes, some notes that we should keep in mind when we are working with Solid in constructors and so on. Now we are going to have okay. Now I actually want to talk with you. So you guys, you usually, you probably already know about design patterns. My question is, are you actually using some of design patterns on your applications? How it's been How
in the
are you doing
real
with the
in
implementations in real life? Yeah,
real life, real world.
yeah.
It's common, not common. If else, if else, if else. That's it.
Uh, in my case, I can remember singleton for database access.
Okay.
Um, Factory also for I used factory also in my last Santander position where we were building let's say translator library and we could translate some different distinct dictionaries like for example different requests have different protocols and we could feed it's COBOL to REST and
My
COBOL.
goodness.
Yes, it's a bit complex. Lots of different protocol requests, and you could feed a YAML file to each protocol, a YAML file model, and the factory would translate the payload based on the YAML you provided.
I see.
Such as a factory for protocols COBOL to REST translation.
Nice. Really
Yeah,
nice, actually. Didn't know. Cool.
yeah. Thanks.
Anyone wants to share the experience? How about the design pattern that we are using in our SQL database, Sam?
Which?
I'm joking.
Which? Which one? I still didn't check the code, man. So for my previous job, I used Builders Factory. There is also, I think, the other one, Facade, I think,
Mm-hmm.
that
Nice.
one. Because it was an old application, so there is some part of APIs and everything, so they need to how to desktop application. So that's why they implemented the Facade, so like that. What else? That's what I remember. That's all.
Cool. And actually, do you think for this question that we have on our screens, how can these design patterns can not only improve system efficiency but make our life easier?
I think it makes it easier to solve or to evolve the system. But when you are building, it's harder because you need to think abstractly most of the times and think how to separate it the best way.
I see.
Yeah, but yeah, I see it. It improves the efficiency for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the long term is the best things, but the short time is some people it's hard implementations, but you need to think more. Is more you need to prepare your code more. That's it. But I think the long term, it's I prefer change the 100 strategy or else for example on the other hand check if else if else if else if else and 100 times. That's the point.
Exactly. Yeah, I think we have three examples here on this application. We have the factory, the strategy, and the facade pattern. But this is a I would say that this is a philosophical discussion, but it's one of the most important in my opinion because we usually don't use, as you said, Jean, in the beginning of the presentation, because it it's a kind of time consuming to think about these patterns in a first approach for our applications, I would say. And then, but this is really, I mean, this is bad because this is the main reason why we at some point we have really complex applications where we are not able anymore to maintain, you know. So in my opinion, also, I mean, the design patterns also it help us to maintain our application scalable, you know. For example, when you think about the strategy and factory, we have this kind of um, easy scalability, and it's easier to implement a new behavior on your application using these patterns. So, but at first, if you don't have the requirements beforehand, you know, like a good definition on how your application will work, I think it's difficult to implement as well, because our daily routine, we all know, we are always working with deadlines. And it's not every time that they can provide all the information to you to have like this big picture or a big picture good enough to think in all the cases where you can implement a specific pattern, for example. I think that's the tricky thing in our in some projects. I'm talking about my experience so far, but yeah, if you have something else to share, all good. Um, but yeah, well, so I will not go through each one of them. I'll jump into the code. We have as an example of strategy. Um, Now help me out, Pedro. The strategy one, I think we had.
Oh, you're changing the code. Sorry.
Yes.
In transaction.
It's in transaction.
No, sorry. It's I
The
forgot.
expense actually, right?
Expensive. Yeah, expensive.
Okay. Split strategy here. So yeah. For example, here on our application, we actually mixed a little bit the concepts, but still I think it was cool. We have like a factor of strategies. So we to in order to explain a little bit how it works, each one of them, we have the factory and the strategy implemented here. But basically, the idea for this strategy was defining different strategies on how we are going to split our expenses, because this is the main feature actually for Splitwise application. So we use the strategy mixed with the factory in order to define how we are going to handle each of the strategies on how we are going to split the expense on our Splitwise application. So that was the idea, and I mean here we still have, but it's I would say that this is much more simple than a giant if else clause. Here we have a more simple case clause with the different strategies that we can have. So equal, exact, a percentage. We actually have one implemented in like the a real implementation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
it works specifically for the equal one, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the equal split strategy. And this is also defined in a split method enum. So we can, for example, in case we need to implement a new strategy on how we are going to split our expenses, it would be only adding the enum into this enum class. Also updating our case on inside the factory, and finally we should implement our strategy as a new class here on this package. So in terms of you know it can be, it's more like scalable, I would say. And also define, you centralize your business rules in a specific class. So you will not have this kind of, the logic will be, I don't know, if it will be in a service, but the service is doing one strategy, another strategy, but also calling the repositories, and you have the problem of the single responsibility have died, So this is not the case. We use the strategy, we use the design pattern in order to organize and try to centralize the logic per classes. So that was the idea behind the factory and strategy implemented here. Wanna add something, Pedro?
Yeah, if you go, for example, in split detail service implement, no, not here. It's split detail services implement, and
I got lost. Sorry.
yeah, I see.
It's one
In
of
the
the.
no, not here. It's the
Okay.
implementation
Okay.
of service. Yeah, split detail.
Okay.
Yeah, scroll down, please. Yeah, go the implementation for split details. It's what? Come back. No, it is good. So here you have a strategy, and only that it's a simple thing. You have a one input, and the output is depend. So it's a simple for understand, the simple for reusable. If you have a depend of, if you like I said before, if you need add some different strategy, it's a simple thing for adding. It's a clear, it's a code, the code is clear. It's not have 100 if else, and there is separation, the responsibility for your specific components, and that's this point. I think that you have, for example, let's click here for check. Forgot. And split details. You have a interface. In these interfaces, you have a specific map for details. You don't have it's very common. For example, you have a one interface for 100 methods inside this interface. So it's not good. You need segregation your interface, and a small interface for specific things, for a specific domain. It's I think for example, interface with a possibility for create a microservice. You need, if you think that, so if I can separate this microservice for split detail services, it's possible. But if you have 100 different kind of method of like generation interface or generation the split, it's not make sense. You need to create other interface like a generation details. Or no, sorry, it's not a good place. It's like a report, for example. You create a different interface for the same repositories. Don't worry about that, but it's a different interface. You got it? Everything sounds good? Okay. That's the only thing, Bruno.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, well, I think we also have the facade. Let me see if I can share. The facade actually it's a group managing facade. I think we also implemented facade as an interface for the group methods. So
Yeah.
we have do you want to go dive in on the
It's line 14.5 in the group controller.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Let me just plug in the charge. Okay. I was running out of battery. Okay. Group controller.
Yeah, group controller. And create group.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Yeah. We basically, well, instead of extending an interface, service interface, we implemented the facade as an example for the design pattern. But yeah, basically we centralize some of the logics for creating the group and updating the group. I think it's only these two methods.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the three main patterns implemented so far. I would like to reinforce the repository. The idea of these Splitwise sessions is to have the public repository and also have some collaboration. So if you want to share your thoughts, open pull requests, that's the idea for the Splitwise sessions. So we have the
Okay.
public repository, and it's open for everyone. So if you have some, you are going through the code, you see some stuff that, oh man, I don't like it. This is a mess. Just change it. Change it. Open your pull request, and we are going to check it out, and also um, embrace the changes from the community, because it was also one of the goals for these sessions. We could share our ideas. So yeah, that was the main goal. My friends, I would say that it's we have like 1 minute, but we can pass a little bit if you want. If you want to share some ideas, or if you have any questions, or everyone is cool with the presentation.
Yes, for me, totally cool. First time I saw this new project, Splitwise. Felt very interesting. Apply the principles in a code. I think it's better to learn. So
Sure.
good job. And the application is already huge. Lots of code.
There's a lot of code, bro.
Yeah.
It was becoming something huge. So at some point we decide like, oh man, it's enough.
Yes, of course. Yeah. So do you have people requests?
Cool. Perfect. Thank you, Vitão. Mario Bandeira has a raised hand.
Yeah, but actually, I would like to ask something a little bit out of context.
Go on.
I think this is continuation of what we had perhaps 2 or 3 weeks ago, right?
2 or 3 weeks ago. Yeah, something like that, right,
I
Pedro?
think so, something like that.
Uh,
So my question would be, what is required to make part of the open source project?
Actually, well, nothing much, I would say, because I mean the repository actually is already open. It's public. Something, yeah, something that maybe you don't have like um
It's only do fork. It's maybe do some fork, no?
yeah. One of the ways that you can do is forking the project on your GitHub account. So for example, first time that I opened a pull request for this project, I didn't have a total access to the repository, and maybe it's happened with you as well. So I created a fork. You see, it still has my fork that you can go here, create a new fork, the repository name, and then choose an owner. Yes, and then you will have like an option to select your user. So basically, you fork the application, you create the repository inside your GitHub account, and when you open a pull request through your user account, it will ask if the pull request will be for your GitHub account or for the original repository. So the fork process I mean, GitHub also knows, that it came from another repository, from another account, from Aubay account. So when you open the pull request, you can also have as a target the original repository. But still,
And
I'm going.
I would want you to just leave the link on the comments, please. And how do I know what I have to add? What do I have to do?
Uh,
Things that I have to increase? Do you guys distribute some sort of a task? How does it work?
You're free.
um, and yeah,
Yeah.
feel free, but still,
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
of
also
course.
yeah. We also have some to-dos
Yeah.
in throughout the code. If you search for the to-dos, there's some Yeah, some changes like suggested, some stuff there that you can play around. But you also can, like Pedro said, feel free, man. If you want to just have
Yeah.
fun, cool.
Bruno, something so only for share. Maybe show the to do. It's an important thing. It's some parts of code. It's not to have the best implementation. You have a proposal for that. Is for increase for improve. So sometimes some parts of code like I see Bruno, you see, and for example, is you maybe here you have opportunities for improve some things in this controller. So that's the good point for start. You got it?
I didn't get you well.
Yeah, basically, the to do will be your starting point. So search for the to dos.
Okay.
For example, we have like some comments like why not using the model mapper? So you can try to use a model mapper or implement your own mapper if feel free to do it. We also have this one we need to describe a little bit better, but basically this update expense is something that well, probably we are not following properly the single responsibility pattern. So maybe we need to rethink this controller or just removing a little bit of business logic of the controller because it's a controller. So basically you can start from the to do's and then you can check it out anything else that you need that you want to change. But still, I think we can also share our email. So yeah, if you have some doubt, you can send to us, and we continue like working together.
Yeah, maybe you should go ahead and share it on the comments, please.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
All my friends. This is my email. Yeah, Pedrão. Also. O Jean, tá como, Jean also has the right hand. Yeah, tá com a mão levantada.
Yeah. It's a quick thing. Regarding the to-do, actually. If you are using the IntelliJ, I don't have here, but it has a plugin where you can map all the to-dos. So you don't need to search manually for them. You have like here in the sidebar one icon to list them. If you use VS Code, it has as well. It's the to-do tree, I think. And if you want, what you can do actually is searching these to-dos and then going to the issues in the GitHub repository and then creating issues for it to do. So you create tasks for other people to work together in the repository. It's maybe a suggestion on how to participate into the repository and then understanding what the things are and maybe relating the issue with the PR, things like that.
Cool. That's a good idea. I didn't know about this
Something
plugin
like
actually.
this too in
Yeah.
the form.
Sorry?
Yes, I wrote exactly this in the forms, the form in the chat, the opinion.
Perfecto. Yes. About the form, yeah, good. Well remembered, Vitão. If everyone can share also your opinion, the evaluation, and bring some feedbacks on how to improve, we want this. So feel free to share your opinion.
Okay, I have it open here. I just didn't fill it in, but yeah, it's open here.
No, yes. Okay. All right. All good for everyone? Any other question or?
All good.
Okay. Very good. So I think that's it. I would like to thank you, everyone. I appreciated the presentation, the exchange of ideas. Really good. and we keep in touch. Anything that you need, you can contact us through the email as well, or message.
Yeah,
Keep in
sure.
touch.
Yeah. First, something is important. You have a community in WhatsApp group. If you have an interest for us, so send an email, send a. I don't know if I can add the link here in the chat. Just a moment. Just a moment. Uh, I don't know. It's hard for me. But you have an interest for this community group. It's send a message or send an email for us, and you here invite.